My name is Julie Jenkins. I am one of the coordinators for Ignite Sarnia, along with Karen Minty. She's here in the front row. She's going to be one of our speakers as well. And Megan O'Neill, she's back here. The three of us kind of organize and coordinate these events, and we've been doing them for a couple of years. It's a great opportunity and a great challenge to do this. I hope you guys are going to show a lot of support for all of our speakers and cheer them on as they're speaking throughout the evening. I need to really say a big shout out to Alt Space for allowing us to use this room tonight. Isn't it amazing? So we reached out to them and said we're looking for a space to host this event. And I spoke to Lee and they took care of everything. We just had to show up tonight. How amazing is that? We know how to coordinate events. We get other people to do all the work. Thanks, Lee and Lewis and team at AltSpace for hosting us tonight. I am going to turn it over to our MC for this evening, Karen Minty. Please help me to welcome Karen.
Well, you'll all be happy. We had a big emergency about 10 minutes ago, and we told Lee and his team, and they took care of it. There was only 4 squares of toilet paper left. We almost canceled the event. So, if you need to go, I just saw him sneak those toilet paper rolls downstairs, so the women, if you need to go at the bottom of the stairs, do a hard left to get to that bathroom or you won't find it. They're huge. It's about the size of my first apartment. We can get down there. You can take your friends. It's okay. So, is there anybody here that this is their first Ignite? Wow. That is awesome. I did not bring all my first Ignite newbie information with me. I figured you'd all been here before. So Ignite was originated in I think about 2006 by a bunch of engineers in Seattle. They were sick of listening to people drone on and on and on and on and on with the details of their presentation. So they said, you know what, we're going to make it. You have time limit, 5 minutes. 20 slides, auto advance every 15 seconds. Please keep up because we're going to turn the mic off in 5 minutes. And it caught on. It is now in over 320 cities across 100 countries. So I'll give you some tidbits that I remember without my notes in between speakers, but that's the origin of it. So I will try and keep it quick, just like the Ignite, enlighten us, but keep it quick. And I'll introduce our first speaker. Phil Smythe is originally from Sarnia. He lived in the United States and across Europe before moving to Japan 6 years ago. He's an entrepreneur and runs 2 successful online companies, LotteryCanada.com and ZonMustard.com. He speaks and coaches on entrepreneurship and is living a custom-made lifestyle. He is also a professional musician and holds a master's degree in film. He will also be on my TV show later this season. Your TV show. Anyway, welcome Phil to the stage. Where are you?
Good evening. Countdown's on. Yep.
When I was young, that's me, I was really interested in foreign lands, and I read a lot about China and Japan. And one of the things I noticed when you looked at old photographs, which I also love, is that in photos from before the Second World War in Japan, women and girls were mostly wearing kimono. And then when I started to go to Japan, I noticed something, that there was no kimono in Japan. So I was very curious about this change in culture. You know, Japan's a very traditional place. So I wanted to look at why women were no longer wearing kimono and what was the impact of this change. A bit weird like that. So I have a master's in film. So kind of as an excuse to say that every once in a while, I decided to make a documentary about kimono. So what happened to the kimono? Well, it started kind of before the Second World War when the Japanese government decided they wanted to be Western. So in 1921, they ditched the kimono as a schoolgirl uniform and adopted the sailor suit. Now that was great for evolving like a subculture of pornography, but it didn't actually do anything for traditional Japanese culture. And then we move forward in the 60s and 70s, and there's hardly any kimono. In the 80s, Japan had this bubble economy. Everybody made lots of money. The kimono became very high fashion, very expensive, a status symbol. But then the bubble burst, but the kimono stayed expensive. So in 50 years, it went from being something people wore every day to just something special. And 20 years later, you could be forgiven for thinking the kimono is gone. Now, my in-laws happen to run, not my in-laws, a traditional kimono shop. And they've seen sales plummet. You know, people aren't wearing it. And they've accepted this idea that the kimono business is dead. And, you know, it's true that there is a crisis because people aren't wearing them, so people aren't making them. And kimono makers are dying off, and young people aren't doing it. So, that's one side of the story, if you talk to traditional kimono people. But, here's where we get to the part that floats my boat as an entrepreneur, and that is the other side of the coin. On the other side of the coin, we have these visionaries, entrepreneurs who are making the most of a change, which I can't remember. You know, we have this age of the internet, and what's happened is that kimono has become a niche. There's 8 billion people on this planet. For sure, some of them are interested in kimono. It's become a fashion and a tradition. We have this woman, Tauntaun, who has a I don't do that. We have this guy, Azuma, who took over his traditional kimono shop and decided to run a YouTube live stream. And every week he talks to kimono artisans, and a whole bunch of people have realized and they are thriving. So we have a kimono maker in Kyoto who is so desperate for workers, he goes on the radio pleading for people to come and work for him. So there's a demand there. But because the Japanese see things traditionally, what's happening is that foreign companies are coming in, they're creating crappy kimonos, selling them to people who don't know any better, or don't have another choice. But there are entrepreneurs throughout the whole ecosystem. People who specialize in cleaning, or repairing, or they work from home with groups of people, or they revive ancient patterns, or they revive ancient methods of dyeing fabric. So, well, the thing is that I see this as kind of a hopeful situation. You know, if enough Japanese entrepreneurs step up, the kimono is something that's not just an ancient culture, but also a modern culture. And they can do what the Japanese have always been very good at, which is adapting. So it's not no kimono. It's no, the kimono is different. And for me, this is exciting as an entrepreneur. Anybody who works in a niche market or a traditional market can learn lessons from the Japanese. Even foreigners, who sometimes play live music in Japan, will wear kimono. I even have one just in case I need a nice bathroom. So remember, traditional cultures don't mean the end of a market. They mean a new opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil. I was sitting there the whole speech going, why is he wearing a kimono? So for those of you new to Ignite, here's a quick little fact, at least the last time I fact checked it. The biggest audience at an Ignite event was in Boulder, Colorado, and there was 1,300 people. I was really hoping we'd be there.
Stay close, pretty close. I think we're close second. But if all of you invite 10 friends to the next one, and make sure they come.
I think so, it is. Now we have to put it down. I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Debbie Payne. She was born in this great community and after having lived
Until the late
Society and the Sarnia Lambton District Humane Society. She is always up for a challenge, and that is why she's here tonight. Let's give a round of applause for Debbie Payne.
Wow, I didn't realize I wrote that much. It's time. I can feel it. She's on her way. Oh, there she is. Hey, wait a minute. Where's the love? Where's my hugs? Oh man, she must have had a bad day. These are some great loving sayings that hold so true. When I needed a hand, I found your paw. Dogs have a way of finding the people who need them and filling an emptiness we didn't even know that we needed. Love is a four-legged word. Dogs have entertained us in movies and on television for many years. They've helped create some of our fondest childhood memories and continue this with our children. I'm sure you'll recognize the following, such as Snoopy, Charlie Brown's pet beagle, first introduced in a comic strip, Peanuts, in 1950. TV shows we fell in love with his adventure for life, his dog germ kisses to Lucy, and, of course, his sidekick, Woodstock. He continues to be loved generation after generation. And Lassie was a fictional character first off. He was created by Eric Knight and was first featured in a short story and then in a full-length novel called Lassie Come Home. In 1954, her hit show ran for 16 years. And no matter the danger, she always came to the rescue. She lived till she was 18, and her pups continued her legacy. And then there was Eddie, who was cast to annoy Fraser. Believe it or not, real name was Moose, and got the role because of his badass attitude and, of course, his intelligence. His son, Enzo, also played the role, and nobody could tell them apart. This pooch was definitely a scene stealer and was on this hit series that ran for 10 seasons. And then Toto was one of the most popular and loved dogs of all time. Her real name was Terry, and she was a female. As you know, she played in the never forgotten movie Wizard of Oz and had one of the leading roles. In 1945, she died, and her owner buried her on his ranch. Years later, a freeway was built over the ranch, destroying her grave. So, in 2010, fans thought she should have a memorial, and that Hollywood Cemetery donated. Okay, hero dogs. We've heard many stories over the years about these pooches. They come to our rescue when we need it and remind us how lucky we are to have them in our lives. Drake helped dig through 30 feet of unstable debris at the World Trade Center, Ground Zero, located the last survivor, and was so celebrated he was cloned for use for future rescue missions. We've all heard there's certain dog breeds, either banned in communities or polarized in the media as being destructive or dangerous. I believe in some cases the lack of proper training was at fault. Okay, there's puppies. Who doesn't love puppies? We do. Their cuteness, and we simply can't get enough of them. They show up in the most unpredictable places, but did I mention the time and patience that's needed? The cuteness starts wearing when we discover that our favorite shoes are no more, that plants are disappearing, and that eating alone quietly, well, that's all in the past. Putting in the time and training is a must. No one is more excited to see you come home than your dog. There's no judgment on the way you look, the way you smell, at the mood you're in, and like us, they age. It's never easy to see your faithful companion struggle with walking up and down the stairs, losing their eyesight or their hearing. My girl Coco, from the moment I looked into your eyes, I knew you would be part of our family. The training in snowy weather, my favorite chair ruined, and the unexpected vet bills would be a small price to pay for all the love you've given us. The importance of these organizations are so crucial for the abandoned, abused, or simply dropped off as owners no longer can care for them. I'm so grateful for the people that volunteer and work here for giving their unconditional love. Thank you.
Julie numbered the speakers wrong. So our next speaker is Victor Laranja. Did I say it right? Yes, I did. Woo! Now, hold off, dude. Hold off. I gotta introduce you. Now, for anybody that might know, though there's a lot of newbies, Lambton College partnered with Ignite Sarnia a couple years ago, and they did a special themed Ignite for all their international students. It was a riveting Ignite event. There was such amazing stories about why those students came to Canada, how they ended up here, and in the things that they did. I was asked to MC it. I was like, oh yeah, sure, I could do that, until I saw all their names. And I butchered every single one of them. So I'm happy to say that I pronounced Victor's names right. So Vic is a 26-year-old entrepreneur born and raised in Sarnia. He's an expert in the field of Instagram marketing. Oh my God, I don't even know how to use Instagram. Becoming the founder and president of the only Instagram-focused marketing agency in Lambton County, Social Gravity. Vic is also an accomplished music producer and recording artist. He has released 3 studio albums to date and is still releasing studio quality music under his artist alter ego. Oh, I like that. Vic Spacey. Vic is also a Lambton College School of Business alumni and plans on returning to school in January 2019 to begin working towards his MBA. His dedication to personal success and development has become evident through his work ethic and integrity. He practices meditation, lives a drug-free and alcohol-free lifestyle. Oh, dude, that's so boring. It's gonna be legal soon, just saying. We'll try not to ruin you. He consistently sets goals. Oh, well, don't smoke dope if you want to consistently set goals. At a level above his current ability, so it pushes him to succeed. Overall, he's working to build an exciting and memorable career in business and music. Welcome, Vic, to the stage.
Hello. That's my second slide, by the way, Julie. So for years, I've been kind of obsessed with the study of fear and how to conquer it. And this is kind of what I've come up with. It all starts with your subconscious mind. So you have to think of your subconscious mind as this data center of information. It's always taking new information, which is our emotions and experiences and our ideas, and it's reorganizing it. And this is for the purpose of taking new information in the moment and then cross-referencing our old information to determine the best course of action in the present moment for ourself. Now you got to think of yourself as your conscious mind. So you have your subconscious mind and your conscious mind. You are your conscious mind. Your conscious mind is the average mean of every successful communication between your subconscious and your conscious mind, of course, right? So really, what happens when the transmission doesn't go correctly? What happens when your subconscious mind pushes something like a warning sign to your conscious and it doesn't work? Well, that's when we experience emotions that we don't really understand why we're experiencing them, like anxiety or pain or sadness or resentment, and we don't know why we're experiencing it. Those are actually byproducts of something much deeper, and that's what we call fear. Now, we always think of fear as one block, as one thing, but we have to stop and dissect it. And we need to think of fear as actually 6 things, because there are 6 roots of fear. And every single person in this room ties to 2 of those. So they attach themselves to 2 of them. Just keep track for me. We have the fear of poverty, the fear of judgment, the fear of illness, death, loss of love, or old age. Now, every single person ties themselves to 2 of them, and they live their life in avoidance of those 2. So, for example, you're in an argument with your friend, and she has disrespected you. She's insulted you, and you're mad about it, obviously. Well, you have the right to be. But why are you mad? Why did you come to the conclusion of being mad? Well, being mad is our negative emotion. It's the surface. It's what we see on the outside. But if we dissect it and we realize that we are afraid, what are we afraid of? Well, if that situation develops, maybe it'll lead to something even worse, a worst case scenario where you will sever the relationship entirely and you won't have that friend anymore. So what does that correlate to? What root fear is that? Well, if we have no love, then we're actually afraid of losing love. So the root fear, the foundation of what we've built here, is losing love. Our negative emotion is anger. Our worst case is they leave. The root fear is everybody leaves, right? So, I'm ahead of myself. We can correlate this concept to every single negative emotion that we have ever felt in our life. And what we're going to see is a pattern. The 2 root fears that you correlated with a couple slides ago, that is going to hold weight on every single negative emotion that you've ever felt. It's all going to draw back down to that. So how do we beat that? How do we use that tool and that knowledge to beat it? Well, it comes down to self-awareness. So right now, realize that those 2 fears are your root fears. And we want to have the ability to kind of empty our mind and to see everything better. So what I do personally is I do something called a word dump, where I basically sit at my laptop, open a notepad, and I type like 3 to 10 pages. I empty my entire brain out. And I ask myself specific questions, and I answer them fully and honestly, and that's key. So what questions do I ask myself? What negative emotion am I feeling, and why am I feeling that? What happened in order to make me feel that way? And why does it matter to me so much? With that, I can really go deeper and determine the worst case scenario. What am I afraid of happening in detail? And when I know that worst case scenario, it's going to correlate to my root fear. And if we know our root fears and we can always see the patterns happening, we can actually develop what we call our greatest fear, which I'm sure you've heard of before. So if we understand and we know our root fears and then our greatest fear, we can start from that point, and in our imagination we can say, hey, I'm here. This is happening. My greatest fear has come to fruition. How now do I act and do I build up out of that? What would I do in that scenario? And with that, we can rebuild the life that would win from that scenario. And we would break the strain we have between our subconscious and conscious mind, using fear not as a method to feel pain and to feel scared, but now we've used fear and flipped it on itself and use it as a tool for liberty and freedom. Thank you.
Is everyone having fun so far? Amazing speakers. Very entertaining. Well done, everyone, so far. I neglected at the beginning of the night to give a shout out to David Burrows, and he is broadcasting live tonight on Facebook with the show with David Burrows. Thanks, David, for always supporting our event. Everyone, give a wave out to everybody. The cameras are over here and over here. Hi, everybody at home. You're missing a great event. Okay, I'm going to introduce our next speaker, who's actually one of our coordinators for Ignite Sarnia, Karen Minty. And I wrote this all down. She left me with the job of writing her introduction for this evening, but I was really nice, and I'm going to make it professional. So Karen believes in the power of self-awareness to create individual and team success. Karen is certified to facilitate the DISC human behavior model, a proven cost-effective tool used widely throughout the international business community. Karen's witty sense of humor and thought-provoking insights bring an added level of understanding to her workshops, and with an ID personality, you'll know her. Sorry, text message coming in. You know her, sorry. You know her training will be results-oriented, super relevant, and sure to be heaps of fun. Please help me to welcome Karen Minty. I think I've read that introduction somewhere before. Who are you? This fits in well with Vic's. What is your personality style? I'm a little obsessed with psychology, and I love, love, love to hear people's backstory because it sheds so much light on their behavior and their communication. So being introduced to the DISC model of human behavior was like Christmas morning. I was like, wow, this is awesome. This is so amazing. Everything makes sense now. So it's a lot like Myers-Briggs, but a lot less harder to remember. So there's 4 letters, and what they represent is D is a dominant, determined doer. The I is the inspiring, influential, imaginative personality. The S is that sensitive, shy, sweet personality. And the C is conscientious and cautious and contemplating. Now, everybody is a combination of everything. You're not just one thing. But inevitably, 1 or 2 traits generally stand out as dominant. Now, normal human behavior is very predictable. And when you understand the pattern, it makes all the difference in learning to communicate with people. It's like a cheat sheet. So let's have a look at the 4 styles, first of all. The D, they are results-oriented. They're natural-born leaders. They love to have control. They're dominant, direct, demanding, decisive. They are doers. They get shit done. Now, an example of a D is my friend Julie, who when we were at a concert parking, a guy was trying to help her park, and she said, is he trying to tell me how to park? And she damn near pinned the guy just to prove that nobody needed to tell her how to park. Now, the I is the inspiring, influential, imaginative person. They're usually the life of the party. They've got a great sense of humor. If you're going to talk to an I, be prepared to have 5 different conversations, 6 different side stories, and they'll usually forget the original question. Now, I'm an ID, and as an I am also very impulsive and spontaneous. I had a speech written and practiced, and I rewrote it at 4:30. So there's the impulsive side. Now, I'm also an I, and I's have the best sense of humor. So if you've been following me on Facebook, I've been looking for a dress to wear to the Obas. Only someone who has a really strange sense of humor is going to post that kind of stuff. So moving on to the S, they are security oriented. They like stability, routine. God forbid, they don't like change. They'll do anything to avoid change. They won't make a decision because they don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. The best thing about an S coming from an I personality is they like to listen, because I's like to talk. And they will listen forever, and they won't interrupt ever. Now the C, they're quality oriented. Those are people that are concerned with all the details. They're cautious, they're calculating, they're contemplative. They have to think everything through. They need details and then they need more details, and they want real details like research and data. Now my boyfriend is a CS, and if he knew that he was on the screen I was talking about him, he'd be horrified. But he's very routined and organized. So sometimes we irritate each other, but other times we work really well together. When it came time to move my daughter off to school, he made a plan. He checked flyers, he bought everything, he prepared, he packed it, he moved it. I forgot what day she was moving. So it's a good thing that he's around. Now, like I said before, everybody is a combination. And usually we rely on our strongest trait in everything we do, unless we're stressed or there's a different environment. And then we tend to rely on our secondary one. Now, for years, I used to work at the old Canada Trust, and I did the financial records and I managed people. Two of the things that I'm worst at. So I hated it. And I can tell you that there is no slower death than accounting for an I personality. I don't like details. I don't like follow up or follow through. But once I changed my environment from that to a creative outlet, I flourished. So I don't really know what screen I'm on, but anyway, DISC is super easy to learn in its simplicity and its complexity. I'm certified to train it, and I will guarantee you that it will change every relationship that you're in and make it better. Call me if you want to have some DISC training at your corporation. Shameless plug. And we are going to have an intermission now, so everybody can get a drink. Check out the bathrooms downstairs. Seriously, they're as big as my first apartment. Grab a drink, and we'll be back in about 20 minutes or so. and one had an emergency. So we've ad-libbed, we've just kind of winged it, and we've asked Lee of AltSpace to come up and tell us about AltSpace. There is no slideshow, but if you, every 15 seconds, if you look at a different corner, it will be kind of like a slideshow. So if everybody could group participate in that, and Lee will tell us a little bit about AltSpace. And I'm not even going to try his last name, it's just Lee.
It's Leewerton Vijayabalan. Yeah, I don't have a presentation. I'm not going to take 5 minutes. But just so anyone that's wondering, my name's Lee. I'm the creative director of a creative agency called Tomorrow Inc. We started a couple of years ago, me and 4 of my buddies. I'm 22 now, so I was just 20 at the time. And we realized there was a need in Sarnia for basically a way for people to start their ideas out and get going without the big risk factor, the capital costs, and the overhead. We realized that by allowing people to focus more on their business, they get to grow holistically without the chaos of worrying about money. They get to worry about their product or their service and about building their business. So we wish we had that, but we didn't have it. So we thought we'd just build it. And about a year ago, we opened up Sarnia's first co-working space upstairs. Basically, we had like 7 private offices. Then our office, we opened up to over a dozen coworkers in the community, just paying what they can afford for a certain level of involvement in our space. The space you're in right now is kind of a expansion of that. We just got the lease a couple weeks ago. That's why we're having some events and whatnot. But what we intend to do here over the next 6 weeks is renovate it and improve the space, and soon it'll be home to about 20 to 40 coworkers in the community, paying anywhere from $100 to $300 per month to have access to the best quality internet downtown, a state-of-the-art conference room, state-of-the-art boardroom facility, everything. So it's going to be really awesome. We're really stoked. If you know anyone that's a business owner, individual person, a team, small team of 2, 3, or 4, or someone that just works remotely a couple times a week, what we have here is going to be an awesome place for them to build their business, but also to connect with people and enjoy what they do, but also where they do it and the people they do it with, because ultimately we want people to be happy while they work and enjoy what they do. So anyway, that's what we do. Thanks guys for coming out tonight.
I think it's a great space. I don't think you need to renovate. Don't renovate. Just throw a couple desks in. Oh yeah. It's what? It took a while for you to be like, oh, it's over. Yeah. I'm kind of pulling an airhead tonight thing. That's an eye. That's an eye. There are the eyes coming out from the D. Our next speaker is Megan O'Neill, and she did not provide a bio, although I have known Megan for quite some time. She used to be the executive director of One Tomato, for any of you who remember One Tomato days. I used to cook with her, but the food works. We'd go into the schools and cook with the kids, and I've actually been asked to do a few of those again, so it's kind of like, woo, retro food works. She has moved on, had a couple different jobs. She is now project manager at Red Cross, and right before getting that job, she volunteered and went out to British Columbia to the wildfires. So I don't want to spoil alert her speech because I'm not entirely sure what it's on, but I saw a picture of a fire on one of the slides. So I'd like to welcome Megan O'Neill.
All right, imagine, if you can, you've just flown out west to BC. You walk into this white, sterile room, and it's just folding tables, and it's crazy, and there's maps of fires everywhere, and a crazy guy runs in and he says, oh my God, are you ready? Are you ready? Like, it's like a complete shit show out there. It's a total gong show. There's no way you can possibly be ready. Here's the keys. Good luck to you. The road might be closed. Just flash them your badge and just drive through the fire. Oh, and if the fire goes over the road, just back up. Just don't turn around, just back up. You'll be fine. That's how I got to BC. Before Williams Lake, I would have questioned if I had empathy. My talk is about empathy. I know for sure I had an Irish mother's sympathy, which is a wooden spoon in the finger of justice to my children, especially. I wasn't sure about empathy. I'm a project manager by trade, like Karen said, so every day I solve problems. That's what I do. And the biggest, hardest, first lesson I learned in Williams Lake is you can't always solve the problem. You can't solve someone's problem when their house has burned down and they have nowhere to live. You can't fix that. And so my first assignment when I got to Williams Lake was as a frontline caseworker, and it turns out I am a terrible, terrible frontline caseworker. I'm like the worst person in the world. It's because of empathy that I found that out. So we gave people money. So they come in, they got a set amount, it's like $300 or something, but we could give them more. Every person in front of me, like they'd be slightly teary-eyed, maximum amount. So on my first day on the job, our disbursements went up by 50%. My second day on the job, they went up 100% over that. So my third day on the job, I wasn't allowed to deal with people anymore. I had to man the wait list. There was like 600 people a day. I ruled that with ruthless project management efficiency, and on the fourth day I got a promotion to the data and finance office where I was no longer allowed to talk to people. I will say that I did work with people, and I learned about empathy, because empathy is, all that is being present for someone in their trauma and pain. So empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. So even if you think you don't have empathy, a couple days of relentless trauma and exhaustion will actually help teach you that. I learned empathy literally at the hands of a crying lumberjack man who sat across the table from me, and he had his phone and he was trying to talk to his wife. They'd been separated by the fire. He fled north when the fire came and burned down their entire village. She took their children and fled south, and his parents got separated. His mother was airlifted. His father came to us in Williams Lake. He started to cry and hands me the phone and said, "Are you ready to talk to her?" And she unhinged on me. There was nothing left except for her. We were the last resort for her to cry in my ear. You can't fix that. They had come from Fort Mac that year because their house had burned in Fort Mac, and thinking they would be safe in northern BC. Entire village burned. Empathy was going in the back room, and my coworker saying, "I saw your face," and us developing some really unhealthy coping mechanisms together, including food. These are cherries, but really we just ate chocolate, and a lot of alcohol, which continues to this day. Cheers. And then also, you know, we worked together and we would go golfing. So I think, have you seen that meme picture where those people are golfing and there's fire on the hill? If that's not us, I swear to God, it's like another member of my team. So the second thing that we learned is that you're really going to suck sometimes at things. And the third thing is that people are everything. So you can't fix the problem. You're going to be complete shit at some of these jobs, right? You can't help. You can't do anything to make it better. You go with your people. We go golfing. I just will say in this picture, the firefighters would not leave our building without full, like practically hazmat suits. And we're like, whatever, we're going to golf. So we would golf. If we left right at 7 o'clock, we could almost get 9 holes in. This was a nice clear day here. On our one golfing night, we could hear all the sirens going off, and so we just turned off our phones. We're like, it sounds like an evacuation, but we'll be fine. So the hardest lesson I learned in Williams Lake was that we can't fix things. Like, you can't fix it. But I also learned it's okay to fail. It's completely okay to go out there, think you're going to change the world, and realize you can't. You can do nothing except take that person's hand and sit across the table from them and just be there with them and say, the best words you can say are, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry you have to go through this. I can't make it better for you." And that was just the hugest thing I learned. I learned that I completely sucked at having to help people when I couldn't fix things. And the final thing I learned is that people are everything. We said in Red Cross, we started in an empty parking lot without a paper clip to our name, 100% staff turnover every 21 days, and within 72 hours of that first day, we have a fully functioning unit. And we make it work because of people and empathy. Thank you.
I am a firm believer that the lesson that you need to learn will come to you. Megan used me as a reference for her Red Cross job, and they asked me about her working with people, and I said, well, yeah, will she be doing anything else? And you don't learn anything. The best way to learn something is to be thrown into it. And you were thrown into it and you learned it. So you learn the lesson that you're meant to learn by being thrown into the fire. How do you like that pun? Our next speaker tonight is Carrie McEachran. When she isn't spending time with her family of 7, 2 chickens, 1 dog, and 3 ducks, Carrie's the executive director of Sarnia Lambton Rebound. She is also the founder of the F Revolution, and is currently writing her first book, which is exploring what makes women successful in leadership. She is the past president of the Rotary Club of Sarnia and has participated on local and provincial boards, with the most recent being the North Lambton Community Health Center. She's very excited to be participating in Ignite. She was in our last one. She's talking about something different. She's been sick. Let's see what she's got to say tonight.
So like Karen said, you're going to have to bear with me. Okay. I just rolled out of bed like 2 hours before coming here, so please bear with me. No, I promise I've been really trying not to. When you all wake up tomorrow sick, you're going to be... We'll be okay. We're going to be fine. All right, are you ready? I am. So, good enough? No way. You're all great enough. Tonight I'm going to be talking to you about some challenges that I discuss with other women around what their biggest leadership challenges are. And the very first one that I hear from so many is the feeling of not being good enough. Not being good enough for that job or that promotion. The imposter syndrome. I don't know how many people in this room have had the imposter syndrome, but I'm pretty sure everybody has. Who has it? All the smart, successful people that you think have their shit together all have the imposter syndrome at some point in their careers. So this could be me. It wouldn't have been as pretty if I would have put a picture of me back in the early days of my journey when, you know, I'm having complete anxiety attacks outside classrooms when I'm starting my master's, thinking, holy crap, I am completely out of my realm here. I am not good enough to be here with these people. Many times wanting to just quit. And I kept going for 2 years, just kept going. And so tonight I'm going to tell you what the advice I give to other women and men is you need to squash that inner voice. You need to tell that voice to shut the hell up. You're good enough. You're good enough to be there. You're good enough to be in that interview. You're good enough to be in that job. My mantra, fake it till you make it. I can tell you, quite honestly, I'm doing that on a daily basis. I am faking it, and people may not realize that I am. Sometimes I'm sure they might. But yeah, fake it till you make it. People don't know you're faking it. And keep swimming. While you're faking it, keep swimming. Enjoy the waves. Go with them. Stay above water. Yeah, that has been me on several occasions. Next, intentionally come out of your comfort zone. Me being up here tonight is out of my comfort zone. I have this horrible fear of speaking in front of people. And with my role at Rebound and my role with F Revolution now, I have to do it. So I'm intentionally finding ways to do that. Self-care, meditation, something that I've turned to over the past year, and I'm telling you, it just makes the difference. Doing that quick 5-minute meditation in the morning, self-talk as well, you know, looking in the mirror. I have sticky notes on my mirror. People would think I was ridiculous that say, you are powerful, you have this. You know, look in that mirror every morning. Say, you got this. If Ryan Gosling believes in you, need I say more? Come on. Ryan Gosling knows you have this and believes in you. And he's kind of cute, I'm just saying. Positivity, thinking positive, and this was something I really struggle with, and there's still days I struggle with it. But turning all those negative thoughts and the horrible things happening in your life during that time, turning it into positive thinking. The magic that happens when you are thinking positive is pretty amazing. And you know, the importance of thinking positive. You're more happy, you're more encouraged, you're more strong, more enterprising. People around you like to be around you more. Get some cheerleaders. Really important. Have a party with your cheerleaders. It's important to have that support behind you, those people that can really encourage you. and remind you when you're feeling kind of down and not feeling like you should be there. This is just a little picture of some of the, I'm really lucky to have some pretty strong female mentors in my life that quite often I turn to when I just need that ear to talk to or that advice. Again, your vibe attracts your tribe. So going back to everything I've just said, you know, your vibe is your positive thinking and being self-aware and taking care of yourself. People see that and they want to be around you. Behind every successful woman is a tribe of other successful women who have her back. And that's so important. Women need to empower each other. Women need to be there for each other, to lift each other up. They need to break that damn glass ceiling. And I don't know what else I had to say for that slide. And just to end, it's all about you and your choices. You must make the choice to take the chance or your life will never change. So you are good enough and you're going to make that decision to make those changes. Thank you.
Bye, Kathy. Everybody say bye, Kathy. We're going to shame you for leaving. Shame you. Yeah. No. Anybody else want to try leaving? Or we're going to be all over it. So our last and final speaker tonight is an experienced speaker. She's an award-winning artist, entrepreneur, and motivational speaker. There are a lot of skills that have come naturally to Kat over the years, but driving was not one of them. And I actually thought of you when my daughter failed her test. I said, somebody else did too. After surviving far too many accidents when she was younger, she put off getting her license for several years. When she finally did attempt to take her driving test, she learned a lot more about life than she could have possibly imagined. That's that whole life lesson thing. This Wednesday you'll hear. No, tonight. It's Wednesday already. You gotta edit these before you print them. You will hear all the inspiring and entertaining details of Kat getting her driver's license. Welcome, Kat Kabahar.
There we go. All right, I'm ready. Hello everyone, my name is Kat Kabahar and I am the owner of The Painted Cat. And as an artist, a lot of things come naturally to me, and as Karen mentioned, driving was not one of them. So I actually waited a very long time before I got my license. Now don't worry, these are stunt watermelons, okay? No one was hurt in this. I didn't have any crashes like this, but I did experience a lot of accidents as a child, and it gave me major anxiety. And so I put off getting my license for a very long time. And I learned that ignoring your fears won't make them go away. In fact, my plans of being a permanent taxi cab passenger and shotgun warrior just weren't going to cut it. So I bit the bullet and I took my driving test. Aced the driving test, no problem. Road test, another story. The guy, made of cardboard. I was terrified. I was tense. I was holding the wheel. It was bad. And really, really important lesson there. Don't let fear take the wheel. And it's funny because we've talked a little bit about fear today too, so I love that. Don't let fear take the wheel. Don't let it stop you. Remember that you got this. You can do this. However, I didn't have it. I failed. Next time, brought my van. It was pouring rain. Didn't want to empty it. Don't worry, it's not this van. This is just an exaggeration. But I had all my art supplies in there. I learned that you can't take a driver's test if you have a full van. And so I learned that you should deal with the clutter in your life before you start your journey. Now, that one did not technically count as a fail. I just thought that it was more dramatic if I said that I failed it 3 times. It was just a pass. Next one was not nice. Oh my goodness. She actually said, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me and I'll repeat myself. And then when I did, she said, don't make me repeat myself. I was terrified. She was a road bully. And that's when I learned, don't let the bastards grind you down. There are always going to be naysayers, negative Nancys, bullies telling you what you can't do. Don't listen to them. Do what you know that you can do. Fake it till you make it, right? Okay, by this point I was devastated. I was ready to just call it a night, call it a year. You know what, maybe I'm meant to ride the bus. Maybe I'm meant to, call a cab for the rest of my life. I didn't know what I was going to do. And that's when a friend told me, don't give up. Don't give up. And I'll say it one more time because we really have to remember this. Don't give up. Keep going because you can do it. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of help. And that's what I did. Someone told me, a very good friend told me, you know what? There's people out there that are professionals that can help you with these road tests. And so I called Young Drivers Canada. And I invited my driving instructor here tonight, but she's very pregnant and she couldn't make it. So I wasn't afraid to ask for help. And that's really, really important because a lot of times we believe, no, I got this. I don't need any help. I can do it on my own. But a lot of times there's people out there that know exactly what to do. So I took Young Drivers. We started from scratch. We went around the neighborhoods. She told me what I could improve on. Parallel parking was one of them. Braking was a little bit of a stretch. But she was amazing, and we laughed. Look at us. That's not us. But just imagine, that's me. Look at how happy I am. And her, well, you get the picture. We had a blast. It was like driving around town with my best friend and learning along the way. So this time, I was going to get it. I knew it. Because practice makes progress. Okay? Practice doesn't make perfect. All right? No one's perfect. But it does make progress. Before, I would just turn down, make excuses. Oh, I can't drive. No, this time I was like, yeah, I'll drive wherever you need me to. Next time I went, it was the same guy from the first time that I took my lesson. I was like, okay, this is fate. This is my chance to show him, hey, you know what? I'm not a bad driver. He didn't remember me. He probably had like 1,000 people after me. But sometimes lessons in life repeat themselves until we get it right. And this time, I was going to get it right. I was prepared. I could do this. I was a little weird. I talked to myself. I asked him if it was okay to talk to myself and tell him what I was doing. Like, okay, now I'm looking in my mirror, and now we're turning. And he was fine with it. And you know what, guys? I did it. I got my license. Look how happy we are. That's Alexa. That's me, terrified behind those glasses, but super happy. And there's my license. I cropped it because that's not a good idea to show that. But with hard work and perseverance, anything is possible. And most importantly, as my dad reminded me from a very young age, you learn more from losing than winning. You learn how to keep going. Thank you so much.
Just a quick survey. Who here has failed their license? So you're not alone. Way to go. And my daughter had the scary guy the first time when she failed. And then she had a really nice lady and she did fine. So sometimes the lessons come and who's dealing them out? Well, that is our night. I would like to thank you all for coming, and especially I would like to thank Lee for providing the space and the chairs that you're sitting on and the tables and all the equipment. Dave Burrows for live streaming it. You can watch it later, I think. Is that right, Dave? Yep, got the thumbs up. So if you want to go back and watch yourself or watch your favorite speaker again, I'm sure Dave would love it. So feel free to get another drink if you'd like to hang out and chat and network a bit. But that is our night. Thank you so much for coming.